The light fades with death's cold embrace. You've already been zipped and tagged. Struggle as you might, it will not help. No one can break out of the body bag. Here to oversee the autopsy, your hosts, Chris Thomas and Broke Rider Dave.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to Body Bag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Broke Rider Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
Today's episode, he is the author of the book that we're going to be talking about today, Black Gypsies, God's Leftovers, and A Light Bulb's Lament. He has over 40 short stories published in places such as Dark Moon Digest, The Best of Surreal, Grotesque, and The New Flesh. Thank you for coming on the show, Grant Wamack.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, it's always kind of hectic to try to hash out a date. I'm glad that we were finally able to hash out a date.
Yeah, but time moved fast, so
yeah.
Yeah, and thank you and thank Hannah and Haley for sending over a copy of Black Gypsies.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Before we actually get into the book, let's learn a little bit about you, if that is okay.
Yeah. So, Grant Wamack, writer. I used to try to be a comic book artist, but got into writing in my teens. Started submitting short stories. I was big into cosmic horror back in the day, so like Legati, Lovecraft.
Okay.
A lot of those type of writers I was big into. And then crime fiction as well, got into that. And then Notes from the Guts of a Hippo was my first novella. I kind of got started in the Bizarro scene, the Bizarro crowd for a while, and then kind of moved away into more like horror again, and then crime fiction as well. So that's kind of like the big things I've been working on last few years and even currently. So yeah, and then outside of that, I'm a tarot reader, kind of into that as well. Do a little bit of mediumship as well. So
I was just about to actually bring that up, and not only in your Insta, but in the end of Black Gypsies, music, tarot cards, and jujitsu seem to be the three reoccurring things that take up your time when you aren't putting out stories.
Yeah.
That's quite a mixed bag.
Accurate.
Quite a mixed bag of hobbies. That is very much like if you just picked a random assortment of hobbies: tarot cards, music, and jujitsu.
Yeah. I don't know how it happened.
Is there any of those in particular that you have the most fun indulging in, or is it that you like doing all of them equally?
I mean, all of them. Jiu-jitsu is more recent. I've always loved martial arts, so I used to wrestle when I was younger, and then did some taekwondo. And then as I got older, I'm 33 now, but for whatever reason in my 20s, I felt like I was too old to do jiu-jitsu, which is kind of stupid and limiting. But I had one of my exes, she encouraged me. She said, why don't you just try getting back into martial arts? So I did some Muay Thai a few years ago, some Krav Maga, and then I felt like I wasn't a jiu-jitsu guy, but then I got curious about it. I really resonated with the guys. So I started doing jiu-jitsu and I just fell in love with it out here in LA. And then tarot's been a passion forever. In middle school, I started studying palm reading and palmistry. And then that kind of blossomed into tarot and other divination techniques. But tarot, I have a tarot tattoo. I have about like 6 different tarot decks. I have tarot clients. I used to do tarot readings at parties and just tarot. I have a tarot deck sitting next to me right now. So that's always been there.
I have a friend of mine who does like the tarot reading. She does tea leaf readings.
Oh yeah. I do a little tea leaf reading too.
Is there like actual legitimacy to that, or like I'm sure there's people out there that would probably liken it to stuff like horoscope readings?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I believe in it. I don't really care if people don't. I think it's sort of like an ancient tool that sort of draws on archetypes. and the subconscious, sort of like the collective subconscious. So I think it's just sort of, I tell people it's sort of like an esoteric GPS system. So people come to me and they may ask me about relationship, or they may ask me about I don't know, a career choice or a move. And I basically pull the cards and they basically tell you what path you're on, basically. So it's not you're stuck, or it's not a fixed path you're on. It's sort of like you still have free will and you can still change the course of the path. I just sort of tell you like, hey, you're about to run into a pothole. Be careful.
I always kind of figured like even if you didn't put much stock into something like that, if anything, it's more of a cathartic thing that it kind of like arranges your thoughts a little bit more, or brings out more of like if you were to draw something and say you're going to, or you're facing a big hurdle coming in the future, they might already be thinking of something like that where it's like, yeah, that makes sense, but it's like it just kind of puts things into perspective that they might have been thinking about but didn't necessarily seem as obvious to them.
That's true. That's very on point, because I have a lot of clients. I'll pull cards and they'll say, I was already feeling like that, or I already knew that in my gut. And this is just more of a confirmation more than anything else, or it affirms what they already know. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. I've always liked that kind of stuff. I've always wanted to kind of get my palm read and get my if anything. I think it would tell me more, have me learn more about myself more than anything.
Yeah. The palm readings especially, that's more of like internal. It'll kind of show where you've been and where you are, basically. But yeah, it's a little bit more internal than the tarot cards.
One last question about that. Can you do your own tarot reading, or is that kind of like a biased thing? Like you couldn't accurately read your own tarot cards?
A little complicated. Like you can, I do. I tell people all the time with intuition in general, you have to make sure you're not too emotional, you're not too biased. So even when I'm doing a reading for someone else, it's much easier. But if I feel like real sad or angry or depressed or something that day, I have to really be on my P's and Q's. So I have to just I have these techniques to kind of get balanced. But when it comes to myself, I have to be extra balanced and extra realistic and extra good to go. And so I don't skew the cards, or because you can easily skew the cards where it's like, I want a happy outcome. Or you're super fearful or depressed, and then you get all these horrible cards, but that's not real. So, but yeah, I do.
Okay. You put out over 40 short stories. I like asking this with any guest that we have. Do you find yourself usually revisiting like a common theme in a lot of your stories? Some of the guests that we've had, they usually go back to stuff like addiction or fear of the unknown, usually is a recurring thing in a lot of their stories. Do you find that, or do you find yourself like pretty much all over the place with any new project?
That's a good question. No one has thrown that my way, so kudos.
Sometimes it's not intentional. Like I find, like me and Dave, we've been still trying to kind of work on our first like short anthology story. And a lot of the stories I find that I end up like unintentionally going back to is like concept of time.
Oh I would say, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Transformation is a big theme for me, and evolution. So like, especially with short stories, there's a lot of transformations these characters go through. So even if it may be like body horror or something else like that, but I usually love transformation, or seeing a character change due to some sort of internal events or external events. So yeah, usually transformation. I'm editing a short story collection that's coming out next year called The Hum of the World and Other Stories. So it does have a little bit of music playing throughout a lot of these horror short stories. And then there's a lot of earthiness throughout, which I didn't see until I started putting the collection together. So
why don't we go ahead and move into, since we're on the subject of the stories, Black Gypsies, which is the book that you guys sent me.
Yeah.
Fantasy, it's a crime drama, or that's what it's labeled as. horror crime
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
When it comes to like a crime type thing, you're essentially, would you say it's a mystery kind of thing? Because whenever I think crime, I think mystery. I'm a little bit more ignorant. Dave is more the reader when it comes to
Yeah.
this dynamic we have. I'm usually busy editing, which frees him up to do most of the reading. So he'll have questions about the actual story itself. But crime drama, I don't think we've had a guest that's done necessarily crime drama, have we, Dave?
No, we haven't. No.
I would imagine that because you have the story in your head, you know how it plays out, but you have to create a sense of like mystery, I imagine, around because you know how it's going to play out, but the reader doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I'm trying to form the question correctly.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you kind of get
and-
where I'm coming at.
Yeah, yeah. So in general, when it comes to writing for me, I'm a pantser.
Mhm.
So I don't really outline. I may do like a very loose outline to kind of make sense of everything that's happening, but I do know what's going to happen at the end and how things are going to play out. But I usually write out scenes and then kind of Frankenstein it together for my books in general.
Mhm.
So not sure if I'm really answering your question, but
Well, I guess I
Yeah.
didn't really form a question. I was
yeah,
trying to follow the place anyway.
yeah,
I guess I was
Yeah.
trying to ask, how do you go about structuring the story to where you lend enough of a mystery, but you don't want to bring things up where it's like, well, I know that, but the character doesn't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's more similar to tarot. It's very intuitive for me. So I would try to tease it out throughout the narrative and try not to give it all away or just explain it super clear and hold the reader's hand and say, this is what's happening, because I do want some anxiety. I do want the reader to start to try to figure out what's happening as the story progresses. So
That's kind of what I was getting at, because that would be very hard for me, because if I'm trying to make a mystery, I would want to be like, all right, I want to lend enough clues that they can, if they are clever, they can kind of get what's going on, but at the same time, I don't want to make it obvious because I might know what's going on, but I don't want to drop clues and end up it just being a big, hey, it's over here, this is where you need to look.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy. I was working on Black Gypsies for years, actually. Went through multiple drafts, and that was a little bit of a concern of mine as well, where I was worried there wasn't enough, I guess, like red herrings, or there weren't enough clues, or would this make sense? Am I not giving the reader enough? Am I giving them too much? So, yeah. So hopefully, I hope I got it right, but
Yeah, there was eventually a question in that word salad I was throwing at you.
yeah.
But Dave, if you want to go ahead and ask some specifics about Black Gypsies.
Yeah, read the story, loved it, read it from basically cover to cover in one reading.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So why was Chicago picked as a location for the story?
That's a good question. I grew up in Chicago, so I have a lot of family all over Chicago, and I have a lot of family on my mom's side who are thieves, and they steal, and they've been in and out of jail. So that obviously ties into the book as well. So
yeah, I get it. I mean, I grew up in Northwest Indiana, so outside Chicago. And Gary
Indiana's
and
right there. Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it was just, I think every single time we've ever asked that question, the answer has always been, well, it's where I grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I can't, I would love to write about a setting like in a New York or a city setting, but I've never really lived there, so I could only write about the East Coast, like around the Virginia area. Didn't mean to laugh. I just think that's fun. It's always the same answer. Just well, I mean, it's kind of where I grew up. So
I feel like writers write what they know.
Stephen King is. That's why Stephen King based a lot of his stuff in Maine. So
Maine. Yeah.
So the title Black Gypsies, like in the story, it's a book of poetry Zoe has, but I think it was Apollo Jones.
Yeah, that's correct.
Where did you come up with that at? Because I actually tried to Google search and see if that was an actual book.
Yeah, I made that up. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so I was just
yeah,
wondering.
which I'm sure you figured out.
Yeah.
So title and that book. So I do love poetry too. I do
Yeah.
write poetry. All that's my poetry.
Yeah.
And I've had some poetry published. I've done readings with poetry. I really love poetry. So I wanted to sort of like weave that into the narrative, sort of like this little meta device. I just thought it would be cool. And then the title, Black Gypsies, I've known different gypsies. I've been overseas and different things like that.
Yeah.
I dated a Romanian girl before, and things like that. And then also sort of like part of it was meant to be a little controversial too, because gypsy is considered to be a slur.
Yeah.
I haven't really made any controversy whatsoever. I have a pretty good reputation online, so no one's really gotten upset with me.
Yeah.
Is
And then
Romania where that trade originated?
the
Like
gypsies, or
gypsies and like that kind of lifestyle type.
I don't necessarily think Romania in specific, but a lot of European countries in
Yeah.
general.
Okay.
It just sort of like
It's an area in
traveling
Europe,
group of people. So, and then I kind of wanted that to be sort of like, 'cause, you know, Black people have been persecuted and oppressed a lot, and gypsies have been as well. So I kind of wanted to draw that parallel.
Yeah.
And just have a cool title. So
Yeah, I liked it. So when basically coming up with Marcus, how did you go about it? Because for the most part of the story, he does some things that are wrong, but he's still a good person.
yeah, Marcus, I mean, I wanted the big thing. I wanted everyone to be kind of like human. Because
Yeah.
I hate watching movies and shows where like someone's doing a bad thing and all of a sudden they're a horrible person and it becomes this moralistic play.
Yeah.
And then even the
People
speaking
are like
of
black and white,
A24,
like you're either good or bad.
yeah. So like the Safdie brothers with Good Time and Uncut Gems was a big influence as well. I'm sure you've seen Uncut Gems, like Adam Sandler's character.
Yeah.
So he's pretty sleazy. He's a fucking sleazeball. But I feel like they don't judge him per se. And I wanted that in this. I really love that. So I wanted to kind of carry that into this book with the characters where they're doing fucked up things. They're stealing, they're selling car parts, there's gangsters, there's all sorts of things happening. But at the same time, I feel like I wanted to show the humanity in it as well, where it's kind of like he's not really like trying to be a bad person.
He's just trying to make it.
Yeah, he's just trying to make it out the city.
That kind of makes your A24 pick make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Because I think the last time we did A24 was with Mona Kabani. It comes at night.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
And A24 is a lot of it's usually character studies, like not everybody is just good or just bad kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about movies, that leads to my last question. If Black Gypsies was being made into a movie, who would you want to play Marcus, Gordo, Sly, and Zoe?
Oh wow, I didn't think about this at all.
Yeah.
Zoe, I'd have Zoe Kravitz probably play her.
Okay.
I feel like she'd be a good fit.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the book too.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would be funny if she played her. I actually based her off, there's this singer in Chicago named John Doe.
Okay.
Who I would, if she can act, I'd have her play her. But probably Zoe Kravitz.
Okay.
I have no idea who I'd have Marcus and Gordo or even Sly or any of the characters. I'd have to really think about that.
All right.
I'd probably pull some of the characters from that show, Atlanta, if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Well, before we start getting into like movie talk, is there any place that if people have questions or want to check out your work or see what you're all about, where can they find you?
I mean, Amazon, obviously you can find all my books up there, any booksellers online, grantwamack.wordpress.com is my website, literaryloud.substack.com, that's my weekly newsletter, latest updates. And then obviously Twitter, you can find me at Grant Mirage, and then same thing, Instagram, and just now getting into TikTok too, but you can basically find me wherever. It's pretty easy.
Is that the same also with your music project?
No, that's I do it under Jack Mirage. So gonna be releasing some new stuff relatively soon, but just waiting on timing. That'll kind of come out eventually.
Okay.
So yeah.
And meanwhile, everybody look forward to possibly November, possibly December. We'll be having another giveaway, and Black Gypsies will be a part of that. But if you can't wait, like you said, you can go to Amazon and get it yourself along with some of his other projects. Let me get into some A24X talk.
Yes.
All right, Dave. Now I'm sure you're probably wondering, all right, what? Well, let me go ahead and just say, this is a relatively. When did this come out? Last year?
March of this year.
March of this. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
so Pearl and X came out within the same year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. For those of you who don't know, this is going to still be, as always, a spoiler-filled talk. If you haven't seen it, stop right now. Or if you don't care, just keep on listening. But essentially, X is the story of a group of young traveling entrepreneurs who help a elderly married couple rekindle their physical chemistry with one another. That's essentially what this story is about.
Explaining the plot poorly.
And along the way, the group also is hoping to revolutionize the art of movie making with their groundbreaking cinematography. And
It's a great description.
it's a love story at the end of the day between this old couple who, they're a little bit older. The spark is kind of left a little bit, but they love each other. And there's porn and music. Porn and murder. Porn, murder, and a lot of naked Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you're probably wondering, Dave, because of my mixed feelings with A24,
Yeah.
how did I like this? This honestly might be my new favorite A24 movie.
Right? Like, I'm right there with you.
It's like, really, Chris? Like, you didn't like Hereditary, you're not sure how you feel about The Lighthouse, but the porn movie, that's the one you're willing to give a pass on? Yes.
Yeah, I think A24 is where me and you always agree on movies.
Yes. This is the kind of movie that you want to make sure that you see with the whole family. You want to make sure that you're with your folks when you watch this movie. Maybe make sure some little kids are around. No, this.
Yeah, basically a movie about making elevated porn. Turns out to be an elevated slasher movie.
Yeah.
This movie made me feel a lot of things. I watched this. It's a good thing that I watched this on my phone with my earbuds in, which I kind of had to, because when those scenes kick in and you hear that bass guitar kick in, it's a very weird. I had to remind myself, no, this is a movie. This isn't actual porn. This is you're watching this for the review.
Yeah. Not watching porn.
Not yet. It's but yeah, this was surprisingly really good. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. But in all honesty, yes, it's about a group of entrepreneurial porn makers. Yeah. I do not know why they decided to do it out in the middle of super religious backwoods country place of all the places that you could decide to make one.
Right.
You're going to go to the most evangelical, moralistic, backward, hillbilly town to make this movie.
Yeah, because every time a TV is on, it's a pastor.
And it's a pastor. And this, so you figure this is probably... What, maybe like at the 70s?
It takes place in 1979.
1979.
Yeah.
You're traveling, and let's be honest here, in the deep South backwoods country with a black man and a van full of white women. You can't tell me that that's not going to draw some attention down there in the South.
During that time,
I thought they were a little crazy for that. But...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, man, you guys got some balls. I mean, you guys couldn't have done that maybe in LA or maybe up north where people would have been a little bit more okay. You couldn't have found a barn out somewhere in like the countryside of New York. And so they rent out a barn from this old couple, and they're going to shoot their adult film there because this guy wants to make, he doesn't want to make smut, he wants to make art.
Yeah.
I surprisingly liked 90% of the characters.
The character work in this movie was really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Even, what was his name? Wayne.
Wayne.
I would usually hate a guy like Wayne in a movie, but that dude is such an unapologetic sleazeball that I kind of loved him.
You gotta respect it at that point. Yeah.
He was just comical and how much of a sleazebag he was. Just to the point where his camera guy doesn't want his girlfriend getting into this business, but he's like, hold on a second. Well, hold on.
let me have a talk with you outside.
Yeah. Let me have a talk with you. Like, he doesn't try to diffuse the situation at all. He just, in his mind, he just thinks, another chick for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just talk him into it. Yeah.
Yeah, but surprisingly, she was my least favorite character. Jenna Ortega.
She had her moments.
Yeah.
Because
she's sort of overshadowed by
everything else. Yeah.
Well, for context, in the movie, there's this. They keep calling her Church Mouse.
Yeah.
Because she's like definitely the quote. Well, not for long, the most moral one there in terms of like I don't know about all this. This is I don't know how to feel about all this. It's porn and all of that business, and then she eventually gets okay with it.
Yeah.
Now, I have a mixed feeling about her boyfriend. On the one hand, that poor bastard.
Yeah, he went through it, yeah.
He did go through it.
On the one hand, I feel bad for you, dude. That is not an easy thing to have to sit there and shoot your girlfriend getting demolished by a big, bulky Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
That is not an easy thing. But at the same time, you brought your girlfriend to a porn shoot. Like, I mean,
yeah. What did you expect, my guy?
You shouldn't. Yeah.
Only one of two things were gonna. There could have only been one of two outcomes. Either you would have gotten way too into this, she would have resented you for you being all into it. You guys would have broken up, or B, she would eventually get into it, and then you're going to feel some kind of way that you're going to have to end up shooting because you're not going to be in the movie.
Yeah, definitely not.
No offense to you, but you're not going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
So there's no chance that you could have been like, well, okay, well, if you get to shoot a scene, I get to shoot a scene with, what's her name? Brittany Snow's character.
Was it Bobby Lynn? Bobby
Lynn, yeah. I'd have been like, nah, there's already enough male talent here as it is.
Yeah.
There's only one. Yeah, that's more than enough.
That's all you need.
So on the one hand, I feel bad for him, and I mean, nobody wants to be the only. And at the very end of the day, like everybody's like kind of paired up, and he's just crying in the shower. Nobody wants to be the only guy at the party not getting laid. Like,
yeah.
Especially bringing his girlfriend. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You may have wanted to let her stay home for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his big fucking mistake.
And then when he just gets killed, I'm like, oh god, this guy's having a rough day.
She straight up stabs him in the throat. Bam.
This old lady filling up on you.
Yeah. I thought she was having, when she straddled him, I thought that she was I was like, oh my god, is she about to like ride this dude as he's dying?
That's what I thought too.
Right?
Yeah.
I just kind of want to go through these characters one by one before as we're talking about it. I think, as I said, Jenna Ortega was probably my least favorite because on the one hand, I kind of get. I mean, everybody was like kind of hyping her up, saying, "Hey, oh, it's not a big deal. It's just." Even her boyfriend was like, "Yeah, it's not a big." Not thinking that she was going to be like, "Okay, well, let's."
Let me get into all this, yeah.
But afterwards she said, "Well, I don't want him to like feel bad." I'm like, I know that you were trying to make a point to kind of get at your boyfriend, but that's a kind of shitty way to do it. I mean, like
it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have. I don't know. That's a awful way to kind of get one up on your boyfriend in an argument.
That's true. She could have just kissed the guy, kissed Kid Cudi or something, and they could have gotten over that.
You know, and you know what Kid Cudi did to her was probably so dirty and unspeakable they couldn't even show it because they showed all the other scenes, but they had to cut away from whatever he did to her.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
that's
I'm
true.
sure he did it all. Like
Yeah.
Kid Cudi, by the way, I love that dude. I just love how ridiculously macho he was the entire time. Like when he's not sitting there like knuckle deep in one of them, he's like standing butt naked in front of posing in front of a window.
Yeah.
His hands on his hips, like he's a superhero.
Yeah.
And doing just while the girls are getting ready, he's doing push-ups in the corner.
Gotta look up for the cameras.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know Kid Cudi could act. So
Either did I. So,
apparently, he's getting into. He's been doing. I think I want to say. Is he in that new animated thing that's on Netflix right now?
yeah, there's a Netflix Intergalactic.
Yeah,
and he
that
dropped the
pretty
album at the
interesting.
same time.
That I might check out a little bit later. But yeah, he's getting into some acting. This was a pretty good. I don't know if this is probably not his first like big kind of role, but I mean it's.
He did a good job with this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
surprised.
he was like macho, ridiculously macho, but he wasn't like an asshole either.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you could tell like he is a decent guy. It just
He was just
super self confident.
He's super self-confident.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I'm like big dick guy over here. That's who I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm gonna do a great job on the set. So.
Yeah, just because I got good work ethic, you know. And he was a veteran, so
Oh yeah.
you know what? If anybody deserves to be like getting all this sex by all these random like women, it's this veteran. He's been overseas. He deserves this.
Yeah.
That's true. He was ready to go out into the swamp and look for the wife and so I'm a Marine.
It was the goodness in his heart that got him killed.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
shame.
I mean, you know, when he went out there, I'm sure he was thinking, you know, I know I'm taking a gamble.
Yeah.
with this old man with a shotgun who's probably racist is stalking around here at night.
See, he probably thought like, okay, this old man fought in both, is a veteran too, so there's a chance he might not be as racist as other old white people.
Which he wasn't
Yeah.
actually. He wasn't even
Yeah.
racist. That's just me assuming that he would be. He wasn't. He wasn't a racist dude at all. I just kind of assumed, given the place that he was at, that he would.
Time and place, he would have been. Yeah.
He was just more offended. Like, I don't like you out here seducing my wife,
Like, who wants to seduce your old wife?
sir. With all due respect.
I'll pass on that. Yeah.
Like I said, I think, God, why can't I ever remember his name? That discount Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, I don't remember who played him. No. But
Yeah,
Wayne,
I
Wayne.
kept thinking he was Matthew McConaughey for a couple seconds, and then I had to remind myself that's not him.
Every single time I just kept calling him like Matt in my head. But yes, that's Wayne. The dude is
great
so
value.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him.
That is Martin Henderson, who played Wayne.
I liked his girl too. Brittany Snow, I believe, is the actress. Mary, or what was her name in the movie? The blonde.
Brittany Snow. She was, I think, Bobby Lynn.
Bobby Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby Lynn. Yeah.
I liked her too.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, I
she's
liked her
funny.
too, yeah.
I liked her attitude of like, look, I know what I'm making. I'm using my young body while I have it. You know what I mean? I know exactly what I'm doing. And she was able to kind of keep Cuddy's ego in check.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, yo,
when
man,
he was
like-
flexing in the window.
Yeah, she pulled a Meg Ryan from When Harry Met Sally and pretended to orgasm. Like,
She's like, you didn't do anything.
he's like, come on, man. Is that your boyfriend? Sometimes.
Yes.
I loved her attitude. She even knew how to. At the very beginning, she's like, you know, if you point that camera down, it'll look like he's holding his cock. I was like, oh, you know, good suggestion.
Yeah.
Right.
You should be the assistant director of cinematography on this thing.
Right?
Much better choice.
And last character, Mia Goth's character, what was her, Maxine?
Yeah, Mia Goth played Maxine and Pearl.
Oh, that was her. They
Yeah,
put her
so
in old lady makeup,
yeah,
Wow.
and she plays Pearl in the Pearl movie.
yeah.
I gotta watch that now. All right, so the actual movie itself, I kind of want to just kind of talk about the characters, but let's go into the actual stuff itself. This probably has the best nighttime shots. I've been saying that for this season. I've been having kind of issues with nighttime scenes and how they're shot.
Yeah.
It's either like too dark, or this one is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it's all moonlit. I mean, it's staged lighting, but it's meant to be the moon. It just looked great. I loved most of the shots in these things. I just kept watching and going, man, this is, the way it's shot. This is probably what that art student dude thought he was making.
Yeah, like
in his mind.
it was a good mix of like gritty slasher and then like beautiful cinematography.
And just mixed with stuff like, you'll be like, A24 was confusing my erection because it'll have a very hot like porn scene and then creepy old lady.
Yeah.
Like just
the contrast was nice, like the lemonade being poured.
Yeah, I love
while
that
they're
scene.
having sex. I was like, oh wow, I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, I'm feeling very weird here. Like, because they kind of suck you in with one legitimate like cheesy 70s like porn sex scene, the one with
Brittany Snow and Kate Cudi.
Yeah, and then that scene comes up and you're like, oh, this is some good cinematography.
Yeah.
This is all the dudes in the audience wake up and they're like, oh, all right, this is some pretty good movie. And then when Mia Goth's one comes up, and then even weirder at the near the end with the old man Howard and Pearl, they actually have a legitimate like conversation while sitting on the bed, and I'm like, oh. After all of this death has happened, all the people they've killed, and she's like, "You still love me, always. I always have eyes for you." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah." I was like, "This is all she needed the whole time."
Right,
yeah, man.
Maybe he could have prevented all of this.
What kind of message? What kind of message is that sending like that? You know what? Deep down, like the only thing keeping an old woman from killing a whole bunch of people is just a good love-making session. I'm trying not. We're talking about porn here. Which this episode is 3 men talking about porn.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be as classy as possible. If I was talking about, there'd be a lot more obscenities if it wasn't a podcast. I mean, you can curse or whatever, but I'm not going to be slanging all sorts of nonsense.
But I just love the way it's shot. It's so beautiful. Like in the lake, I guess it's a lake.
Mm-hmm.
And that was scene goes out there. I love it. The overhead shot
with the crocodile. That was my favorite.
Yeah, the crocodile coming and she doesn't even see it. I was like, oh man, I'm so stressed.
I didn't think that they were going to go that route. I didn't think that they were going to kill her off like that. Yeah. It was a good tension building scene, but I didn't think that they were going to kill her off like that. But I did know that shark was that alligator was going to come back into play at some point.
Definitely. Yeah,
the foreshadowing.
This is one of those movies where it reminds me that I wouldn't be a good actor. You got to be very comfortable with your body to do scenes like this.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you use doubles or something like that, or if you have it in your contract where you're not going to be like the one in front of the camera doing those kind of scenes, you're still pretty much naked in a room full of people.
Yeah.
Even just pretending to I would be way too self-conscious of some of the stuff that I'd be afraid of. Being too self-conscious. 2, when they're like, all right, now give us your O face. I'd be like,
that would be hard.
Yeah.
And 3, I'd get too if my partner across from me, the actress who I'm working alongside, is a good enough actress, I would think, oh, she really likes me. And then my self-esteem would just get so like, oh good job at work today. So you gotta, I'll even say that to even people in that field of adult entertainment like that, just you gotta be very comfortable with yourself in order to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
Little side note, there was a time I was supposed to be I was dating an actress in Korea, and she was in plays, and there was a S&M sort of play, and they wanted me in it, and they wanted me to wear what was it, a leather tight suit and I was
Like
so
skin,
stressed.
like
I was
latex,
yeah, like
leather.
skin, yeah, like skin tight, and I was so stressed. But for some reason, I couldn't be in the play due to some other things. But I was kind of relieved because I was
I was
like,
gonna say, were you like,
I'm not in
"Ooh."
shape. Like I'm in kind of shape, but I'm not in that shape.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also. I mean, I could look like Chris Hemsworth, but I would if my self confidence is so garbage that if I even if I looked like Chris Hemsworth, I would feel like fat bastard the second the camera started rolling.
Yeah, it's
Like,
another level of confidence.
Yeah.
That's. Did you attend the play?
I did attend the play.
Yeah.
It was very spicy for a play. And yeah, everyone was half naked or super tight clothing or revealing, but it was good. It was entertaining.
And now you wake up at night thinking, man, that could have been my big break. That
It could have been my big break.
Yeah,
doing that could have been that S&M guy.
Yeah.
So, have either of you seen Pearl?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Not yet.
No. I did read they're supposed to be making a sequel to
Yeah,
X too, called Maxine.
Yeah, this
And
is
the
supposed to be a
X's are
trilogy.
triple X.
Yes, because spoiler, she is the only one who lives at the end of this.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see that twist coming. That the preacher on the television was her dad.
Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
ready for that twist.
I was
either.
like, what the
oh
hell?
shit.
Yeah.
And she
I
didn't
mean-
look bothered by hearing it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that twist really necessarily adds anything to the movie, but it was still a twist that I didn't see coming.
It'll probably
Yeah.
add something to like Maxine when that comes out.
Yeah.
He'll
I'm
be
sure
the
they
big
have it all
bad guy
planned
in
out.
Max.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah. It's still fresh right now, so I'm just trying to recap all the like scenes in my head. But it was like again, surprisingly, really, A24. The cinematography is always going to be on point with an A24 movie.
Yeah. The soundtrack
yeah.
and score of this movie too were great.
Oh yeah.
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 That's true.
Oh, and apparently I had to look up Brittany Snow because I know that I had seen her in something.
Yeah, what would you do? Prom night, Pitch Perfect.
No, not any of all of that. Apparently, like, of all the things, if I am not mistaken, and please just double check for me, Dave, I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan, the video game series.
Yeah. I've never played it.
I've played a little.
Apparently
Kingdom Hearts.
voices one of the main characters named Naminé,
That's crazy.
which is weird because now I know what her breasts look like. And
Yeah, but you're right. She did voice the nominee.
oh, man, that's weird. I
Yeah.
don't know how to feel about that. And it's gonna feel weird going and playing that game again whenever. She's not a main character, but she's an important enough character.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do this movie, by the way?
It was kind of intuitive. I've been wanting to watch X for a while, and I felt like this was a perfect excuse to do it. And then, kind of like going back to Black Gypsies, like I love A24 films in general, just the way they're shot, and it's just like good. So I feel like there's a high chance it would be entertaining, even though I was kind of like, I know it's supposed to be smutty when I read about it, but like you said, it turned out to be like a beautiful horror film.
Yeah.
Like what that cinematographer was trying to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In his mind, this is the kind of shots that he thought he was making.
Yeah.
Um,
when Wayne told him to kind of stay in his lane and just keep
Oh,
doing what you're doing.
it turns out that the actual actors and actresses in the movie are better at the cinematography than he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving him tips like, hey, you know what kind of movie we're making? If you put the camera over here, it'll look like. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. It's
Stay in your lane and let me do the fucking best line of the movie.
You ain't the director here.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I know I said I dislike Jenna Ortega's character, but that he brought himself onto this thing thinking I'm better than anybody else here. Everybody else here is just like smut actors, but I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of uppity sense.
It took watching Kid Cudi get knuckle deep inside his girl for him to kind of realize, oh man, all right,
I fucked this one up.
and then just crying himself like that scene of him in the shower. I'm just like, Go ahead, dude. Just get it out. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
You'll feel
And then-
have to.
15 minutes later, he dies.
You'll feel better. Just you know what? Like I can't even, dude. I would cry too. Like if I just got finished filming my girl doing that, like I just cry, man.
Yeah,
I
but then
would
again,
say-
if I was filming a porn, I wouldn't bring my girlfriend to it.
No.
His church going girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other actual scenes? I mean, everybody, like I said in this movie, was you fall into when you have a slasher movie, you have a risk of just making a generic group of people. You usually have the asshole, the straight man, the party girl, the geek, and like the asshole. And for the most part, kind of in this, but. I don't know, something just
You didn't have any,
isn't caring about most of them.
Yeah, you didn't have any one-dimensional characters in that cast.
Yeah,
Not at all.
And also, the order that they got killed in was interesting to me.
I kept forgetting that some of them were even like the. I remember laughing because after God, why can't I remember his name? Is it Wayne?
Wayne.
Yeah.
When Wayne got killed, and then a couple, and also RJ,
Yeah.
and then it cut to Cuddy and what's her name again? Damn it! I keep wanting to call them by their actor's name and not their
Bobby Lynn.
Bobby Lynn back in bed.
Yeah.
I just thought there was something so funny about like you had 2 or 3 people already get killed, and I just kept thinking to myself, Kid Cudi's over here just busy not being the stereotypical black guy to get killed off first. He's just as sound asleep in bed right now.
Yeah, but it was
love that.
interesting that all the guys died before any of the girls too.
Yeah, I guess that is true, isn't it?
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
That is a good point. But yeah, I don't know. There's something just really funny about just having Wayne having a very he's butt naked out in the bar and stepped on a nail and got a thing through the eye, and then it cuts to Cuddy just sound asleep, smiling in bed.
Yeah.
Right. He was sound asleep after putting in a hard day's work. Just man, I was actually upset to see most of them go. I didn't want to see any of them die, really.
Yeah.
Me too. It's like, damn.
But I felt the worst for Maxine. Like, imagine you wake up with this old lady touching you.
Yeah.
Who looks like you, but 50 years in the future.
And then there's no one else in the cabin either. Like, where the hell is everybody?
No, sorry. I think we're going into kills of the movie now. Since why don't we go into like kills real quick? There's most people. Well, yeah. Other than Maxine, everybody pretty much dies in this.
Yeah.
So, what's your kill of the movie? Why don't we start with you, Dave?
I'm gonna go with the Bobby Lynn getting the gator roll.
That wasn't a quick death either.
No.
When she got her head munched, I was like, all right, well, at least she went out quick. But no, you heard her muffled screams under that water for a good solid like 25, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the whole scene leading up to it too was a good scene. Where she's like, yeah, one time I was gonna be a nurse too.
Hey, you
And,
whore.
Yeah. What the hell?
I definitely need to see what Pearl's damage was and see how she got that way in Pearl.
Yeah, see that? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it's an A24 movie, the way they were talking, I thought that they were going to, and she was so wanted Maxine, I thought that they were going to do some kind of like ritual where she was going to like body transfer into her or something.
Right.
Like, because A24 throws weird stuff at you.
It does.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because she's like, I want her, I don't like blondes. I was like, I thought that they were like looking for people to soul transfer, like Chucky into a different body or something. Like,
I thought something similar would happen. Like, I thought
she would like take her skin or something,
people and become younger or something.
Yeah, something ritualistic. But no, this might be the first A24 movie that is completely set in reality.
Yeah,
like no mystical, magical elements.
No.
What about you there, Grant? Do you have any death in particular that kind of sticks out to you?
Probably the cinematographer, whatever his name.
RJ.
RJ.
Killed.
Yeah.
That's mine too, because I just like that poor bastard. That is a
poor bastard. Yeah.
That is a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, he's just trying to leave. Fuck him.
Talk about the last day of his life being the worst day of his life.
I mean, think of the worst day that you've had this is worse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, this old lady filling you up and kissing your neck.
As you're dying, like,
Yeah,
just the last thought. I mean, your final thoughts being of that. Just the last thing in his mind that is just Kid Cudi's smiling face, and
just plodding away on his girlfriend.
day and night.
So bad.
Yeah.
I would have loved it if they played like a slow version of that song as he's dying.
That would have been cool.
Day and
That would have
night.
been pretty good.
Yeah.
I toss and turn.
But then again, I do like that they kept all the songs in this from the 70s. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one's my pick too. Just an awful way, and not only an awful day, but that wasn't a sharp knife. That was a butter knife that she killed him with.
Oof.
I believe it was a butter knife. I mean, it took. She decapitated him not by sawing his head off, by stabbing his head off.
Yeah.
Ratings.
Let's see.
I would say that this is definitely in the 20. I do mine on that 30-point scale. This is probably one of the more beautifully shot films that we've reviewed this season.
Oh yeah.
Characters, I really liked all the characters. I think they all played their parts well.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, even the asshole characters, they were so ridiculously their character that they were somehow endearing. This, in all honesty, for me, this one, out of my 30-point scale, I might have to give a good 26, 27.
Yeah, I'm actually right there with you at 26.
It's my new favorite A24 movie.
Yeah.
That's great. I'd probably, I don't know about this 30-point scale.
Oh, you can do it on whatever scale you want.
Yeah, I'd probably do right there with you guys because it's definitely one of my favorite films this year. And
definitely top 5 film.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year, I'd say this is definitely in my top 5, and which is again, I've Hereditary is A24, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, me and Dave don't really care for Hereditary.
No.
Lighthouse, I need to rewatch Lighthouse.
I wasn't into that one either.
It's shot well. I like the way it's shot, but I just for some reason couldn't get into it.
Yeah. It Comes at Night was pretty good.
It was okay, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again, even though I will say it was a good movie.
Yeah, The Witch is pretty good.
But this one is one that I would actually rewatch again.
Same.
So, I think I found my... Of all the A24 good projects out there, it's the porn one.
Well, I think, what is it, like an hour and 45 minutes? Which for an A24 film is kind of short, because all their movies are like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours.
Oh, really? All right. Well, next time, for next season, we definitely have to watch Pearl then.
Yeah.
Well, no. Next season, we're doing specifically bad movies.
Yes. I can't wait for that.
So,
Find the worst of the worst.
Oh, then I'll just watch it for entertainment myself.
Yeah.
Put it in one of my little mini reviews. But yeah, thanks for recommending this one. This one was a much like how when we got to review... This ranks up there in the ones that I haven't seen, but turned out to be a pleasant surprise, along the lines of like when we got recommended Soho, Last Night in Soho, Dog Soldiers.
Yeah. I was surprised how good it was. I mean, partially, another reason I recommended it to a lot of people say I write good sex scenes. So I was kind of like, let me pick the sex feel like a A24.
Yeah.
I was asking Dave, I was like, do you think, how much like porn do you think they had to watch in order to do quote unquote research? Like, I want to get the scene just right. Like,
that's a good question.
Probably watch a lot of porn, man.
I swear, baby, it's for research.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. And as we're kind of wrapping up, getting close to the end here, I want to thank you again for taking some time and like coming on and talking a little bit about X, talking about your book Black Gypsies, letting us get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, it was a good time. Thank you.
This is going to be our post-Halloween episode. Should be dropping in November. So this actually, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be
basically
our last
season
episode
finale.
of the season, isn't it? Yeah, this is basically going to be our season finale.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, we wanted
Season
to
finale.
big season
Yeah.
finale and end out with a bang. Oh,
With a
There
bang,
you go.
pun
Corn
intended.
Yeah.
Halloween may be over. The horror movies are going to keep on coming.
Horrors forever.
We might
Horrors
we'll
forever.
probably end up taking off around the Christmas time. We might put out one or two just little Christmas specials, special reviews maybe, but we'll definitely be back for season 4 in January.
Yep. So stay tuned, everybody.
So stay tuned, and I want to thank you again, Grant, for coming on the show. Everybody, go
thanks, man.
check out Black
No
Gypsies.
problem. No problem.
And
Stay hard.
And as always, I've been Chris Thomas, and with me, Broke Rider Dave.
Have a good week, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.